D wheat penny. The Lincoln wheat penny series was first minted in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, these pennies feature Lincoln's bust on the obverse and two stalks of wheat. On the reverse, a design that became iconic and was produced until 1958. The 1937 D penny comes from the Denver Mint, signified by the small d just below the year. Denver Mint coins are known for having great quality strikes, and the 1937 D is no exception. So what was happening in 1937 when this penny was struck? The United States was still recovering from the Great Depression, and though the economy was slowly improving, people were still very cautious about money. Every penny truly counted, and the Lincoln wheat penny was a coin found in nearly every pocket. The Denver Mint struck over 50 million pennies in 1937, 50,430,000 to be exact. While that might seem like a huge number, it still means that this penny is a bit scarcer compared to some other years. But how does its value hold up today? Let's get into that. Just like any coin, the condition of the 1937 D Lincoln wheat penny plays a big role in determining its value. Coins are graded on a scale from poor P1 to mint state MS70. Most 1937 D pennies found today are in circulated condition, meaning they show signs of wear and tear. A heavily worn 1937 D penny in good condition might only be worth around 10 to 20 cents. But if you have a penny in higher grades like very fine or extremely fine, you could be looking at a value between $1 and $3. Now, if you're lucky enough to have a mint state coin, meaning no signs of wear, you're really in the money. A 1937 D Lincoln wheat penny graded MS65 can be worth $20 to $30, and some even fetch over $100 if they have particularly strong strikes or brilliant red color dot when examining your 1937 D penny. Pay attention to the sharpness of Lincoln's profile and the definition in the wheat stalks. A strong strike with crisp details increases the coin's value. Now let's talk about errors. Collectors are always on the lookout for error coins, and the 1937 D penny is no exception. One error to watch for is the repunched mint mark, where the D was stamped more than once, creating a slight doubling effect. If you have a repunched mint mark, the value could rise significantly, sometimes fetching $50 to $200 depending on the condition. 1951 D wheat penny. The Lincoln wheat penny was first minted in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a president's portrait, designed by Victor David Brenner. The wheat ears on the reverse represent prosperity and growth for the nation. In 1951, the Denver Mint struck the D mint marked Lincoln wheat penny. More than 625 million of these pennies were produced that year, making it one of the most common wheat pennies of the 1950s. But even with such high production, certain factors can make a 1951 D penny valuable. Let's take a closer look at the design. The obverse side, or the front of the penny, features President Lincoln's iconic profile, along with the inscriptions "In God We Trust, Liberty" in the year 1951. Below the date, you'll find the D mint mark, indicating it was minted in Denver. On the reverse, you'll notice the wheat ears flanking the words 1 cent in United States of America, along with the motto "E pluribus unum," which means out of many. This reverse design was used from 1909 to 1958, so it's a classic look for coin collectors. As we mentioned earlier, over 625 million 1951 D pennies were struck, which means they aren't particularly rare in circulated condition. However, coins in high-grade uncirculated or mint state can be harder to find. When it comes to wheat pennies, the condition or grade makes all the difference. A coin-graded good might just be worth face value, but in higher grades such as mint state MS, the value can increase significantly. If you have a 1951 D penny in pristine condition, it could be worth more than you think. All right, let's talk numbers. If your 1951 D penny is in circulated condition, its value is generally around 3 to 10 cents. But if you have a mint state coin graded MS65 or higher, it can be worth anywhere from $5 to $20 or more, depending on the condition and demand. And if you're lucky enough to have a coin with a rare error such as a die break or doubling in the lettering, the value could jump even higher. Some error pennies can go for hundreds of dollars at auctions. If you think you have a valuable 1951 D Lincoln wheat penny, it's important to get it graded by a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. Proper grading will help you know its true value. And if you're building a coin collection, don't forget to store your pennies properly to prevent damage. Use coin holders, tubes, or albums to keep them safe from scratches and tarnishing. So there you have it, the history, design, and value of the 1951 D Lincoln wheat penny. Whether you're just getting started with coin collecting or you've been at it for years, the 1951 D is a great piece to add to your collection. Make sure to double check your old pennies. You might have a hidden treasure waiting for you. 1953 D wheat penny. Now let's focus on the 1953 D wheat penny. The D stands for the Denver Mint, where this coin was struck. Over 700 million of these pennies were minted that year, making it a common coin, but don't let that fool you. There are still some valuable ones out there. 1953 was a significant time in American history. Dwight D. Eisenhower was the president. The Korean War had just ended, and the U.S. was experiencing a post-war boom. During this time, the Denver Mint produced a large number of wheat pennies, including the 1953D as part of America's thriving economy. The Denver Mint was known for producing durable, high-quality coins, and the 1953D is no exception. However, due to the high number minted, most of these pennies saw heavy circulation, making well-preserved examples rarer today. Before we talk about value, let's go over how to identify a 1953D wheat penny. First, check the obverse, which features Lincoln's portrait. The key date is right below his bust, with the D mint mark just below the year. On the reverse, you'll see the iconic wheat stalks, framing the words 1 cent in United States of America. You might also spot the motto E pluribus unum above the design. Condition is everything when it comes to value. Pay attention to the penny's overall wear, any nicks, scratches, or even discoloration. Now let's talk about the big question: what is your 1953D wheat penny worth? In circulated condition, most 1953D pennies are worth around 3 to 10 cents. If your coin is in uncirculated or mint state condition, it can be worth significantly more. A mint state 1953D can range between $5 to $10. However, if your penny is graded MS65 or higher, it could be valued between $20 and $50. Of course, rarity plays a role too. There are error coins that can make a regular 1953D penny worth much more. Look out for double dies, repunched mint marks, or other striking errors. If you find one of these, the value can jump into the hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on the rarity and condition. So, what should you do if you come across a 1953D Lincoln wheat penny? First, check its condition and look for any errors. Even though it's a common coin, those in pristine condition or with errors can be highly valuable to collectors. 1952D wheat penny. Let's set the stage. The year was 1952. Post-World War II, America was booming. The U.S. economy was on the rise, and the country was in the middle of the baby boom era. Coins like the 1952D Lincoln penny were part of the everyday currency in people's pockets. At the time, the penny had significant buying power. Imagine buying a piece of candy or even a postcard for just 1 cent. The 1952D penny was minted at the Denver Mint, and an impressive 746,130,000 pennies were produced that year. That's nearly 750 million coins. Because of this high mintage, it's not considered a particularly rare coin. However, the value can still vary depending on the condition and specific variety. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Like many coins, the 1952D penny has some known varieties and mint errors that collectors look for. One of the most sought after errors is the D over D repunched mint mark. This happens when the D mint mark was punched onto the coin more than once, resulting in a noticeable doubling effect. If you find one of these in your collection, it could increase the value significantly. When it comes to determining the value of your 1952D Lincoln wheat penny, the condition or grade of the coin is everything. Coins in lower grades like good or fine can be worth between 3 to 10 cents, slightly more than face value, but higher grade coins such as extra fine or those in mint state can fetch $1 to $5 or more. However, if you've got a penny with the D over D mint mark error, prices can jump. In uncirculated condition, these error coins have been known to sell for as much as $50 to $100 depending on the sharpness of the doubling. So there you have it. The 1952D Lincoln wheat penny may not be the rarest coin in your collection, but it holds a special place in history and can still have some value, especially if you come across a well-preserved one or an error variety. Are you a proud owner of a 1952D penny? Let us know in the comments below if you found any rare varieties or if you're still searching. '66 Jefferson nickel. To understand the significance of the 1966 Jefferson nickel, we need to go back to the 1960s. This coin was minted during an interesting period in U.S. history, both economically and socially. The 1966 Jefferson nickel was struck at a time when the U.S. Mint was producing coins without mint marks due to the Coinage Act of 1965. This act was signed into law to combat a coin shortage caused by hoarding, particularly of silver coins. Between 1965 and 1967, the U.S. Mint did not use mint marks to discourage collectors from hoarding new coins. That means no D for Denver or S for San Francisco mints, just a simple, unmarked nickel produced by the Philadelphia Mint. The Jefferson nickel itself has been in circulation since 1938, designed by Felix Schlag, a German-American sculptor. The obverse or front features the profile of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, while the reverse shows Jefferson's famous home, Monticello. Let's take a closer look at the design of this coin. On the obverse side, you have a bust of Thomas Jefferson facing left, with the inscription "In God We Trust" on the left and "Liberty" in the date 1966 on the right. Jefferson's hair detail is an important factor in determining the condition and value of the coin. Flip it over to the reverse side, and you'll find Monticello, Jefferson's home, along with the inscriptions "E pluribus unum United States of America" in the denomination 5 cents. The detail in the steps of Monticello, also called full steps, can greatly affect the coin's value. If you find a 1966 nickel with full steps on Monticello, it could be worth significantly more. Now, let's talk about mintage. In 1966, the U.S. Mint produced a whopping 156.2 million Jefferson nickels. Since the Philadelphia Mint struck all these coins and there were no mint marks in that year, they are not particularly rare. However, certain factors like condition errors and full steps can make a big difference. So, what is the 1966 Jefferson nickel worth today? In circulated condition, a 1966 nickel is generally worth its face value 5 cents. However, if you have an uncirculated or high-grade specimen, especially with full steps, it could be worth much more. According to the latest market prices, an uncirculated 1966 Jefferson nickel without full steps could fetch anywhere between $1 and $3. But if your coin is graded in higher conditions like MS65 or higher with full steps, it could be worth upwards of $100 or more. 1954 Jefferson nickel. Now, the 1954 Jefferson nickel specifically was minted at a time when America was transitioning out of the post-war era and into a time of economic growth. While it doesn't have the famous war nickel composition that included silver, it still holds an important place in numismatic history. In 1954, the Jefferson nickel was produced at 3 different mint facilities: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. The mint mark can be found to the right of Monticello on the reverse side of the coin. If your 1954 Jefferson nickel has a D or S mint mark, it's from Denver or San Francisco respectively. If there's no mint mark, it was minted in Philadelphia. Let's break down the mintage numbers for the 1954 Jefferson nickel. Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, 47,684,050 coins. Denver Mint D, 117,183,060 coins. San Francisco Mint S, 29,384,000 coins. As you can see, the Denver Mint had by far the largest production run, while the San Francisco Mint coins are much scarcer by comparison. So, what is your 1954 Jefferson nickel worth today? The value of this coin largely depends on 2 factors: its condition and whether it has any rare varieties. For a basic breakdown. Circulated condition. Philadelphia, no mint mark, $0.10 to $0.50. Denver D, $0.10 to $0.50. San Francisco S, $0.20 to $0.75. Uncirculated condition MS60, MS65. Philadelphia, $1 to $8. Denver, $1 to $6. San Francisco, $2 to $10. Of course, values can change depending on the coin market, so these numbers are just a guideline. If you have a coin graded in mint state or higher MS67 and above, it could be worth significantly more. Now, let's talk about what collectors really love: rare varieties and errors. While the 1954 Jefferson nickel doesn't have any major recognized varieties, there are some double die errors and misaligned die strikes that you should be on the lookout for. For example, a double die on the reverse side, particularly around the Monticello lettering or the steps of the building, can increase the value of your coin dramatically. These errors can fetch anywhere from $25 to $100 or more depending on the severity and condition. Always check your coins under magnification to see if you've struck gold, or in this case, nickel. In 1954, proof Jefferson nickels were also produced at the Philadelphia Mint. These proof coins are struck with special dies and polished planches to give them a mirror-like finish. Proof coins from 1954 have an even higher value, often ranging from $30 to $150 depending on the grade. If you come across one, you're in luck. 1970 S Jefferson nickel. The Jefferson nickel was introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag, this 5-cent coin features Thomas Jefferson, the 3rd president of the United States, on the obverse, while his iconic Monticello home is showcased on the reverse. The coin has remained largely unchanged since its release, aside from minor adjustments. Now let's zoom in on the 1970s Jefferson nickels. There were 3 main minting locations during this period: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, each denoted by a mint mark. Philadelphia coins have no mint mark, Denver coins have a D, and San Francisco coins carry an S. The 1970s produced millions of these nickels, but the coin's value can vary depending on the year, mint mark, and condition. Let's break it down by year. Here's a quick rundown of the different 1970s Jefferson nickels and their estimated values in circulated and uncirculated condition. The 1970 Philadelphia Jefferson nickel had a mintage of over 250 million. In circulated condition, it's typically worth face value, but in uncirculated condition, it could fetch around $0.50 to $1.50. The Denver Mint produced over 515 million nickels in 1970. Like its Philadelphia counterpart, circulated coins have little value, but uncirculated examples can bring in around $0.50 to $2. Proof coins from San Francisco are more collectible. The 1970s proof nickel, made with a high polish finish for collectors, typically ranges between $1 and $5 depending on its condition. For each year from 1971 through 1979, values for circulated coins are usually only face value. However, uncirculated coins are usually only face value. However, uncirculated coins, especially those from Denver, tend to range between $0.50 and $3 depending on mint year and condition. Proof versions from the San Francisco Mint are also more valuable, especially if they are deep cameo proof examples. Now let's talk about where the real money might lie. Error coins. Certain 1970s Jefferson nickels with minting errors can be worth much more than a regular issue coin. Look for these common errors. These happen when the die strikes without a planchet blank coin in place, leaving impressions of the obverse and reverse die on one another. Die clash nickels can be worth anywhere from $50 to over $200, depending on the severity of the clash. 1965 Jefferson nickel. Now let's talk about the 1965 Jefferson nickel. This year is significant in U.S. coin history because it marked the end of silver in American dimes and quarters, though nickels retained their copper-nickel composition. From 1965 to 1967, the U.S. Mint stopped putting mint marks on coins due to the coin shortage, making this coin a bit unique. The 1965 Jefferson nickel is made of a 75% copper and 25% nickel alloy, weighing exactly 5 grams and with a diameter of 21.21 millimeters. The obverse features Thomas Jefferson's bust with the word Liberty and the date 1965, while the reverse showcases Monticello, Jefferson's home, along with the phrase E pluribus unum in United States of America. In 1965, there were over 136 million Jefferson nickels minted. Since there was no mint mark due to the coin shortage issue, collectors sometimes have difficulty identifying where the coin was minted. However, these large mintage numbers mean the 1965 Jefferson nickel isn't considered rare, though condition plays a major role in its value. So how much is a 1965 Jefferson nickel worth today? Well, it primarily depends on its condition and grading. In circulated condition, most 1965 Jefferson nickels are worth only face value about 5 cents. However, if you have an uncirculated or high-grade specimen, you could see values ranging from 30 cents to $1.50. For coins graded MS65 mint state, the value could rise to $10 or more, especially if the coin has exceptional luster or strike quality. Now, here's where things get interesting. Some 1965 Jefferson nickels with errors or varieties can be worth much more. Look out for coins with die cracks, double dies, or off-center strikes. These can be worth anywhere from $20 to over $100, depending on the severity of the error. To determine the value of your coin, you'll want to assess its grade. This involves checking for wear on the high points of the coin, like Jefferson's hair and the steps of Monticello. The more detailed these features are, the higher the grade and value of the coin. If you're unsure, you can always take your coin to a professional grader or use online resources to compare your coin's condition to others. 1942 Jefferson nickel. In 1942, the United States was deeply involved in World War II, and nickel, a key material in the production of the Jefferson nickel, was needed for the war effort. As a result, the U.S. Mint began experimenting with alternative materials. This makes the 1942 Jefferson nickel a unique coin with 2 major varieties. There are actually 2 different versions of the 1942 Jefferson nickel. Regular 1942 nickel made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, like the nickels from earlier years. 1942 P-War nickel starting mid-year, the mint switched to a composition of 56% copper, 35% silver, and 9% manganese. These are known as war nickels. The easiest way to tell them apart is by checking for a large mint mark above Monticello on the reverse side. The war nickel features a bold P for the Philadelphia Mint, the first time a P mint mark was used on U.S. coinage. Identifying your 1942 Jefferson nickel is simple. Check the date and mint mark. The non-silver 1942 nickels will have no mint mark if they were minted in Philadelphia, or a small D or S for Denver and San Francisco. For war nickels, the large PD or S mint mark will be prominent above Monticello, but don't stop there. Grading the condition of your coin is crucial in determining its value. Coins in higher grades like mint state or uncirculated are worth significantly more than those showing heavy wear. So how much is a 1942 Jefferson nickel worth today? Well, it depends on a few factors: variety, condition, and mint mark. Circulated $0.10 to $2. Uncirculated $5 to $20. 1942 PD S War nickel silver. Circulated $1.25 to $3. Uncirculated $15 to $40. However, if your war nickel is in high grade or has been certified by a grading service, its value can rise dramatically. For example, an MS-65 graded 1942p war nickel can fetch up to $150 or more at auction. These nickels aren't just valuable for their silver content, they're a tangible piece of World War II history. The 1942 war nickel marks a time when even everyday coins played a role in the war effort. This makes them a must-have for history buffs and collectors alike. 1978p Jefferson nickel. The 1978p Jefferson nickel was minted in Philadelphia, part of a series that started in 1938. This coin features a design that pays homage to Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. On the obverse, we see a profile of Jefferson, surrounded by the inscription, "In God We Trust Liberty." In the year 1978, the reverse showcases Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home, with the words "E pluribus unum" and 5 cents. The Jefferson nickel was introduced during a time of economic change. The United States was recovering from the Great Depression, and coins needed to be durable and cost-effective. The nickel was originally made from a combination of copper and nickel, a standard that continued until World War II, when the composition changed to include silver. In the 1970s, the U.S. Mint was focused on producing coins that met the needs of a growing economy. The 1978p nickel was part of this effort, and it was minted alongside the 1978D, which was produced in Denver. The 1978p Jefferson nickel had a mintage of approximately 123 million coins. This relatively high number means that the coin is widely available today, making it less valuable than other rarer dates in the series. While the 1978p doesn't have any major errors or varieties that are widely recognized, collectors often keep an eye out for well-struck coins that show high detail, especially in the hair and on Monticello. So, what's the value of the 1978p Jefferson nickel? In circulated condition, it typically sells for around 5 to 10 cents. However, in uncirculated condition, especially those graded MS-65 or higher, values can rise to $1 or more. Premiums can also be found for coins with unique characteristics or those graded by professional grading services like NGC or PCGS. If you're a collector, look for high-quality examples to enhance your collection. If you're interested in adding the 1978p Jefferson nickel to your collection, here are a few tips. Check for quality. Look for coins with minimal wear and good detail. Learn about grading. Understanding coin grading can help you assess value accurately. Explore variety. While this coin is common, consider looking for other dates and mint marks to expand your collection. Thanks for joining us today to learn about the 1978p Jefferson nickel. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more coin content. What's your favorite nickel design? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, keep collecting.